Hello everyone and welcome to this review for Avengers Infinity War, spoiler edition. Alright, so I'm just going to be clear right now, like the title says, this is the spoiler version. So here is your warning, I am not holding back from here on out, I am literally starting with the end of the movie. In 3, 2, 1. I am honestly happy that so many characters died. I know that sounds harsh, but one of my biggest gripes about Marvel Comics is that no one dies. And that those that do don't stay dead. The Gutters, a comic done by the artists and writers that do Least I Can Do and Looking for Group, ended up having a single issue. They were single page kind of comics, and each were just commenting on the state of the comic book industry or stories. And when Johnny Storm died in the comics, this was just he's up in heaven, and the only other person there is Ben Parker, Uncle Ben. After he came back to life, which was after Captain America came back to life, I started referring to it as my 13-month rule. I won't get into the details here. If people want me to cover my ideals and thoughts on comics, I'll get into that some other time. I'm just saying, it's at the point where I've come up with a phrase for it. So I'm really happy that they did that. That said, that's just the thing that stands out most to me about the movie. Now, on to the other stuff. Speaking of deaths, as I alluded to in my non-spoiler review, this movie sets the tone right away. In the first scene alone, 2 favorite characters are just killed off. And not just like, oh, we're dead, and like, starts the scene, they're dead. Like, they die for a reason, not just random deaths like all the other deaths around them. Speaking of which, the end of that scene just made me go, oh, Korg. And some people were saying in the theaters, Korg's gotta be alive. It's like, there's nothing saying he's alive. There's only one character I'm not sure of whether they're dead or alive. In case I forget to mention that's Black Panther's sister. They're not very clear about that, unlike all the other main characters. Now, I still stick to the fact that the movie is really good, but I wouldn't even put him for my top 5 Marvel movies. Mid-range Marvel movie, good movie in general. Still a good comic book movie. And I'll stick by my reasons for that, which are the movie felt way too sporadic and spread out in terms of its stories. I can think of at least 4 groups in which the story split off to. The characters still on Earth, the characters that ended up going to Titan or on the ship chasing after trying to save Doctor Strange, as well as the people chasing the Guardians of the Galaxy, primarily chasing after the Reality Stone and then joining the people on Titan, and Thor, Groot, and Rocket Raccoon going to go make a new weapon, which honestly I was really happy that they gave him one of his weapons from previous incarnations. If we're correct, it was the Ultimate Axe Hammer. Groot's arm holding up to that doesn't make any sense unless you go with what one of my friends literally said, probably as a joke, of Groot is the World Tree, which doesn't make sense because in this movie they make it kind of clear that Groot is a existing race of creatures. Honestly, I do feel that there were some deaths that were kind of just stupid, and then there were also a lot of pacing moments. Writing-wise, things were telegraphed very hard. The biggest one being Thanos is going to use the Mind Gem. Is going to get destroyed. Wrong setting. And Thanos is going to use the Time Stone to put it back together. And what I was still up in the air is he going to kill Vision? Immediately there, assuming that he would die from the destruction of it to begin with, and well, that he did. It blew him up, as opposed to, hey, there's a giant hole in my skull now. Because he didn't just take the gem out. He just went, your skull's gone, part of it. So, a lot of characters end up being very clear on whether or not they died, as I said. And, honestly, once they got around to killing Gamora, it's just like, okay, I'm no longer invested in the plot. Not, oh, they killed Gamora, I'm so devastated. It's like, no, they killed off one of the main characters of the Guardians of the Galaxy, knowing that we have a third Guardians movie coming, and also the fact that she'll probably be plot relevant to Peter Quill probably freaking the fuck out in what will be Avengers 4, which is probably going to be the Infinity Gauntlet story. Because, honestly, a lot of people don't realize the Infinity Gauntlet story, which a lot of people thought this was going to be, was Thanos already has the Infinity Gems and has already wiped out half the universe. Which is what he does by the end of the movie, in case you're watching this for some reason before watching the movie. Speaking of which, I do have some issues with the randomness. My friends pointed out on the way to the car that there's now, like, one male African-American character left. Period. Oh, that reminds me, we also don't know the state of Wong. Sorry, not important. Important, but not important to the point I'm making. Now, she specifically said hero, so M'Baku didn't count, but also, as a secondary note to the same thing, I didn't see anybody other than him from his tribe survive at all. Like, there was a moment where they're just all dying, or like, fading into nothingness, or whatever the hell Thanos actually caused. And then they just have his face pan up into view, or camera pans down to him, really. And I just found that a little odd. Everybody else, it seemed a little bit more random, more spread out, and it's just like, is this their way of going, we want to make them not important? Because, honestly, I don't want that. I want that character to be more prevalent. Like, yeah, really, this has a lot of the issues of tropes with gender and ethnicity that a lot of comic books do. Doesn't make it a bad movie, but it just makes it far less progressive as opposed to the movie that came out just before it. Even though the second half of the movie, on Earth at least, takes place in Wakanda. It is also unclear if Thanos is alive. He should be, but his arm, it was really messed up, and he still took an axe to the chest. For all we know, he dies in that hut, sitting there. But honestly, like, at the end of the day, I still enjoyed the movie, but I feel that everything was contrived, like, almost as much as I felt Civil War was. And Civil War made up for it with more of its action scene and watching it hero versus hero. And honestly, at the end of the day, the moment Doctor Strange went, it was the only way, was, oh, hey, you guys were supposed to lose the fight on Titan. And this is that one probability out of however many millions he said. I think 14 million something. Very specific number last year, I remember. Not the point. So it feels like we're getting kind of movies in between. Like, and it's not that they're like, I really like Ant-Man, and I'm looking forward excessively to Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I'm also looking forward to Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel. I can't remember what they titled it. It doesn't help that the character's name changed from Miss Marvel to Captain Marvel not too many years ago. Either title works. Captain Marvel would make more sense because there's no male Captain Marvel for Miss Marvel to make any sense. Also leaves room for the current Miss Marvel as an entirely separate thing, which I know will make one of my friends ecstatic. Regardless, I look forward to it, and I feel sorry for the people who, don't realize these characters are coming back to life. They're going to be Marvel. Too many characters died, including characters whose actors, as those characters, contracts are not up. The actor who plays Bucky being a big example. So, yeah, they'll be back. Oh, yeah, that reminds me. That's the other thing. Again, too many. Another gripe, not just the spread out part. There were too many characters in this movie. They did not handle it properly. I think that they just should have cut back the number of characters in here. Also, yeah, there's clearly going to be a moment where Hulk's going to come back out, possibly as Amalgamy Hulk, or an equivalency of, because Thanos will kill or excessively injure or is about to do one or the other to Black Widow. And as another note, yeah, I kind of assumed Tony was going to live. I was actually really surprised when he got the whole stab wound in, but he lives still. I'm not surprised. And the same thing with Steve Rogers. This honestly felt more like a Captain America movie at times, at least the part on Earth. But regardless, I'm just completely ranting at this point, so I'm going to end this here. If people want to hear more thoughts on this, please tell me in the comments, or if you want to discuss this more in the comments, feel free to. Same thing with movies in general, or any of these reviews that I do. But for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, feel free to press the like button. If you think somebody else will enjoy this, feel free to share this video. Also, if you didn't like this video, go ahead and press the dislike button, but please leave me a constructive comment as to why. And if it's you simply disagree with my point, especially since I'm being very, hammering my point in, try to discuss it first, please. But if you don't want to, go ahead and press the dislike. Or if you discuss it and still don't like it, for that reason, or for the same reason, press it then. Regardless. Also, feel free to leave a comment in general. Again, if you want to discuss this, please, that would be the best place to do it. And if you want to see more like this, be it more reviews, more Let's Plays, which I'm trying to get to more often, or my various gaming, board game stuff, feel free to subscribe. Regardless, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.